We now have Wichita County Commissioner and 13th Congressional District candidate Lee Harvey joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're just going to hit the ground running. Now, after serving 2 terms as County Commissioner, people want to know why now? Why run for Congress at this moment?
Well, I really hadn't thought about running for Congress, but when Mac Thornberry announced that he was retiring, I couldn't hardly go anywhere without somebody saying, Lee, you need to do that. You'd be great at it. You know, I'm in the drive-through at the bank. The guy's honking his horn. I roll the window down. He says, Lee, you need to run for Congress. I was, So anyway, I made a phone call and just was asking some questions, and it just kind of grew really big, really quick from there.
Okay. How do you believe that your experience in county government will translate into Congress?
As a commissioner, you know, when I ran for commissioner, I thought I was going to be working on roads and bridges and fixing culverts. But that's about 10% of your job. It's money, managing money in all the different departments, and also realizing what mandates that you have to implement, because it's mandated by the state or the federal government, and the taxpayers have to bear the burden of that cost. So just the normal, average, everyday person doesn't really understand why our taxes are so high. And if you look at our tax rate and you took all the mandates out, we figured this quite a while back. We could almost drop our tax rate 25 cents. That's huge. But just understanding how government works is a big plus.
Okay, what would you say about those people who are skeptical, who are questioning, of course, your choice of running now while still being on the commissioner's court? Do you believe that there is any conflict of interest?
No, absolutely not. We have some really good projects going on, which I'm doing those projects. And when you announce to run, you automatically resign. It's automatic. So the county judge selects your replacement. Well, we want to keep the continuity of me in charge of those projects until they're finished. But you do know that I don't take any pay. I turn my paycheck back to the county. I don't think that it's right to take tax dollars and go campaign on them. So every 2 weeks, whenever I get my pay stub and my deal, I get my checkbook out, and for exactly what it says, I write that check and I would give it back to the county treasurer. So I feel like that's an ethical thing to do.
Okay, what do you believe is the biggest issue facing District 13 voters at this moment?
There's a lot of things that we need. You know, ag is a big part of this district, but also oil. We are an oil-producing state. You know, if Texas was its own country, it would be the 3rd largest oil producer in the world. Right now, we're independent of oil. We can take care of our own, and we need to make sure it stays like that. One of the biggest things that I want to take care of when I get there is our water problem. President Trump has promised us infrastructure dollars. Infrastructure dollars are not just roads and bridges. We need to build Lake Ringo. We need to build a freshwater lake around Copper's Break. We have 12,000 acres of land that's owned by the Corps, and there's a project for 5-acre solar ponds up there. And that fresh water, I know right now we're okay, but you remember in 2015 when our lakes were at 19% and we were drinking our toilet water? We need to remember that, and we need to prepare for that. So there's some infrastructure projects that I'm wanting to work on really bad, and looking for our future.
Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about President Trump. When it comes to this impeachment trial, do you think this will have a negative impact on the Republican Party going into 2020?
I do not.
Well,
I do not think it would have a negative impact at all. This has been the biggest charade farce that I've ever seen. I mean, the man made a phone call, and it was a phone call much like millions of other phone calls that all presidents have made. It's just a disgrace to me to spend all that money and all that time trying to impeach our president when we should be at work for the people. There's a lot of things that we need to do, and we can't do them when we're doing silly stuff like what we're doing right now.
All right, Mr. Harvey, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.